It's time now for the Wiltfong Whiparound with our Director of Recruiting, Steve Wiltfong. Steve, Jeremiah Smith, his recruitment has definitely made Ohio State fans sweat, whether it's continuing to go on visits or maybe his cryptic tweets, if that's what we're still calling them. But since he's now said that he will go up until signing day, who's still fighting to flip this five-star?
Well, Florida's fighting, Florida State's fighting, Miami's fighting, but let's just cut right to the chase, Emily. I don't think Ohio State fans should sweat over Jeremiah Smith. I think he's ultimately going to sign with the Buckeyes. It's the program that has proven to him that they can develop him into a first-round draft pick. His relationship with Brian Hartline, second to none, and the offense that Ryan Day and Coach Hartline and company have, I think those are all the factors for him. He's going to be at Ohio State's home opener in 2 weekends. He'll be back for the game against Penn State later in the fall. And so I feel very good about Ohio State ultimately signing Jeremiah Smith. These other programs will keep trying to chip away with game visits this fall. Florida State still got an official in play down the road, and he spoke highly and with much respect about those in-state programs. But I think it's going to take an absolute lot to flip Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State, and I think that he's going to sign with the Buckeyes in December.
David Stone is off the board to Oklahoma, Steve. That leaves a couple five-star defensive linemen remaining in this 2024 class, including Dominick McKinley out of the state of Louisiana. It's Texas, LSU, A&M, Oklahoma, and Ohio State pushing for his commitment. Where do things stand with Dominick McKinley?
Well, I feel like a lot of the intel is around the Texas Longhorns here as they try and go on a five-star run here to finish this 2024 recruiting cycle strong. 2 straight top 5 classes for Steve Sarkisian and company. We know the kind of chops they have on the trail. And folks around Austin have been confident about where they stand with Dominick McKinley since he took his official visit the weekend of June 23rd. And they're trying to close him. They're trying to close Brandon Baker, Kobe Black, and Ryan Wingo. Those are 4 or 5 stars still out there for Texas right now. McKinley coming off the board this weekend. Now, I still think that Ohio State, they have a puncher's chance in this recruitment. Got him on campus the first weekend of June. Todd Bates, you kind of mentioned it there with Oklahoma. They had to rally at the end. Now, they were the perceived leader for David Stone for much of his process. But I think there was times last week where Miami was the one to beat. Can Todd Bates pull some magic again here with Dominick McKinley? We'll see what happens. And then Elijah Robinson's one of the premier recruiters in the country. Texas A&M had him on campus the second weekend of June for an official visit. We've seen Texas A&M land elite defensive line classes under Elijah Robinson, and they're in the mix for Dominick McKinley. But the intel here on Monday, most of it, well, I shouldn't say most of it. When you add it all up, Texas is the one that looks to be in best position for Dominick McKinley, but there's several schools that he's very excited about within his recruitment.
It's not over till it's over. 4-star linebacker Brayden Platt is set to announce his commitment live right here on the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. That's next Monday. Mark your calendars. The Washington native is picking between Oklahoma and Oregon. Where is your confidence level for the crystal ball that you currently have in for the Ducks right now?
Well, I feel really good about Oregon going into his announcement. We're going to have it on the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. Brandon Huffman was first to log a forecast, our colleague, national recruiting editor, in favor of the Ducks for Brayden Platt. He's on top of that out on the Northwest. And this would be a big pickup for Oregon as Dan Lanning and company try and push for a second straight top 10 class under his watch. 6'2", 240 pounds, a true sideline-to-sideline linebacker that can also come downhill and fill against the run. When Oregon moving to the Big Ten, they're going to need more guys like Brayden Platt to sturdy up that defense. And when you look at the linebackers that they have committed right now, Kamar Mathuti, Kingston Lopa, and Dylan Williams, they're that longer, lankier body types. Brayden Platt would be a massive pickup for them as they transition to this new conference and a different kind of physicality that they're going to be used to week in, week out.
One of the best athletes in the country, Brayden Platt, made Andrew Ivins' freaks list. Let's talk about an international prospect, Steve. Daniel Akinkumni, he's a name that many might not know right now, a high 3-star offensive lineman from NFL Academy in England. The likes of Baylor, Oklahoma, Clemson, Miami, and Arkansas have offered. What can you tell us about this intriguing prospect from across the pond?
Well, Baylor got him on campus this summer for an official visit, and I think that was one that really moved the needle for him. He's taking an official visit to Oklahoma this weekend, Blair. I think the Sooners are the program to beat for him coming into this visit. He talked highly about Coach Bill Bedenbaugh and his 11-year history of at Oklahoma, developing some of the best offensive linemen in the game. He talked about the fan base and the massive fan support that they get there in Norman, and he wants to play for a program that can compete for a national championship one day. I think he sees that at Oklahoma. Clemson recently offered. He's looking to set up a visit with the Tigers. He's looking at a potential visit with Miami later this month. If Michigan offers, looks like they could get an official visit the second weekend of September. And then Ole Miss is another program that he's intrigued by. But I like where Oklahoma stands right now for this young man.
Steve, I miss having you on the desk here in Nashville like the last show, but some things never change. It's still time. You Hardy, you're reading my mind. Go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. We would love to hear from you, see who's watching. The like button is a great way to just be like, you know what? You like what you guys are doing here, so smash it. All right, third ranked class right now in 2024 is Florida, which means all eyes will, of course, be on Billy Napier's squad, though, this week as they kick off the season Thursday night. Our friend Blair will be headed that way. But, Steve, where should we place our eyes as it pertains to what's next for this class?
Well, Florida's got a fantastic recruiting class right now. It's number 3 in the country right now. They got their potential franchise quarterback. They continue to load up in the front 7. Nobody recruiting the linebacker position better than Florida. 3 more speedy receivers on the way, but they're not trying to be done. They got some big-time targets still on the board moving forward. None bigger than L.J. McCray, a top 50 player in the top 247 recruiting ranking, 6'6", 260 pounds. He is that prototypical defensive lineman that Alabama and Georgia have been winning a lot of games with historically. They're battling Georgia here, among others, Florida State and Miami. L.J. McCray camped at Florida in middle school, looked at his dad. His dad was a prominent high school football coach and coached at Bethune-Cookman. Said, "Dad, I think I can do this." Dad's like, "What?" He's like, "Play college football at the major level." He said that on the Gainesville campus. Billy Napier and company would love to see that whole thing come full circle and have him playing inside the swamp long term. Same goes with Jordan Seaton, top 247 offensive lineman from the East Coast that's playing at IMG Academy. Brian Doan, our colleague, has a story on the 24/7 Sports Network right now after talking to Seaton after his game on Saturday. Florida is in the middle of that, got an official visit locked in for this month. I think Alabama had a tone-setting visit for Seaton back in the summer. Ohio State's a contender. At one point, I thought the Buckeyes led for Jordan Seaton. But Florida's in the middle of this one. Oregon's trying to make a move. Oklahoma's going to get them in on an official visit. So is South Carolina. So a lot of schools jockeying for Jordan Seaton. They'd love to land him. 2 other guys. Let's talk Xavier Mincy. That's L.J. McCray's teammate at Daytona Beach Mainland. I think that they are on the short list for him. And then they're also battling for Cam Michael, one of the best two-way players in SEC country out of the Peach State. My crystal ball is on Georgia right now, but Tennessee, Kentucky are some of the programs in there, South Carolina, and Florida. They're trying to make a run at Cam Michael as well. If they can get off to a fast start with another win against Utah this year, and then they got Tennessee a couple weeks after that, they got a chance to really get some good momentum on the field here in September that can catapult them into finishing very strong here. And then obviously they're trying to flip, some players like Jeremiah Smith, who I think is a long shot. Jameer Grimsley's committed to Alabama. So we'll see what happens on the field for Florida this year. But they're in the right recruiting battles. They're winning a lot of them, and I like the foundation of this Florida program on the trail.
A lot of recruits will be tuning in this Thursday night as the Gators open the season out in Salt Lake City. Steve, before we let you go, you saw 4-star Ohio State wide receiver commit Jeremiah McClellan over the weekend as Christian Brothers College out of the state of Missouri made it out to Indiana. What did you see from McClellan on the field?
Well, when the ball is in his hands, he is one of the most dangerous, dynamic football players in the country. He's got make-you-miss ability. He's got terrific after-contact balance, and he can flat-out run. He scored in a variety of ways, had like a 36-yard catch-and-run touchdown, went up over a defender in the red zone for another touchdown, scored out of the wildcat position. And then his best play of the day got called back because of an offensive penalty where he took a short screen, looked like he was bottled up, broke a couple tackles, reversed field the entire way, broke a couple more tackles, and pranced his way into the end zone. Ohio State, they have a standard that they recruit this receiver position at. Jeremiah McClellan was one of their top targets. They were able to beat Oregon. They were able to beat LSU and Mizzou for him. And I saw on Friday why they love him so much. They got 2 Jeremiahs committed at the receiver position. That's something that they could be a lethal combination together in Ohio State with Mylan Graham also in the fold.
Steve, you describing that short screen that McClellan took to the house reminds me of something that we might be doing a little bit later in this show. So stick around to see some more of his electric highlights from the weekend. But that's all we need from you, Steve. Thank you so much for being here. You can read more of his work on 247sports.com. And as always, for all that exclusive information, highly recommend you become a VIP member today.